Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of your IGCSE Tutors. Without further ado, let's start to discuss this Cambridge IGCSE Economics Paper 1. Question 1. What is a free good? Free good is goods that are unlimited and no opportunity cost. So what's an example of it? Sunlight. The other ones are wrong. 2. A firm is deciding whether to produce good X or good Y for the next 5 years. The predicted revenue for good X is 20,000 per year and for good Y is 18,000 per year. What is the opportunity cost of producing good X? So if it's 5 years, then we just times 5. So finally, the firm decided to produce good X. So the opportunity cost is good Y. So we choose good X and not good Y. So the opportunity cost is 90,000. Answer is C. Question 3. The diagram shows a PPC for an economy. What is the reason for the economy moving from point M to point N? So this means that more resources are allocated to produce good X than good Y. So we look for the answer that is similar to this. Yes, increase resource allocation to the production of good X. So the answer is D. This one is definitely wrong. But why these two answers are wrong? It's because this usually it will shift the PPC outwards and not shifting from point to point. So the answer is D. Question 4. What is not held constant when drawing a demand curve for a good or service? So A. Consumers' incomes. B. Taste and preferences. C. The price of substitutes. So these three are the factors that will cause the shifting of demand curve. So they are usually constant because it's from left to right only. But the price of a good or service, it causes the movement in demand curve. So it will cause either contraction or extension. So we said this price can be changed, so it is not constant. It can the price can increase or decrease, which cause a movement in demand curve. So the answer is D. Question 5. The diagram shows a shift in supply curve for New Zealand airline from S1 to S2. What is most likely cause of this shift? So S1 to S2. So it's a rightward shift. So when seeing this question, we need to know what are the two conditions of it. So the first one, when you see shift, this keyword suggests that it is a non-price factor. And second condition is shift right. Yeah, we draw an arrow here. So shift right means the supply increases. Okay, these are the two key conditions that we need to take note of because this will affect how we answer the question. So right now, as we know that this is a non-price factor affecting the supply curve, do you know there's a mnemonics? It's in the textbook, but I'll write it down. So two tips include time of production, weather, opportunity cost, tax, innovation or technology, production cost, and subsidy by government. So only these factors will cause the supply curve to shift right or left. So right now, we know that it is supply increase. So what would cause supply to increase? So we can look at it. A decrease in the cost of New Zealand's airline. Yes, production cost, this is fall under production cost. When production costs decrease, supply will increase. Yes, this is the correct answer. We found it. So A is the answer. And let's see B, C, D. A decrease in the number of people wanting to fly to New Zealand. No, this is about the demand, so it's not relevant to this question. C, an increase in the price of train and bus travel in New Zealand. This is also not relevant because it will affect demand. An increase in the tax or on travel in New Zealand. No, when you increase the tax, which is here, this will reduce the supply. Question 6. What would cause the price of tea to increase? So first we need to know cause is the key word, because let's see the answer. A, decrease in the demand for tea and increase in the supply of tea. These two are not the causes. They are the result of the changes in price. So, for example, when the price of tea increase, the demand for tea will decrease. So, these two are not the causes. So we can eliminate it, and we are left with B and C. Let's give an example of a substitute of tea. We can say, let's say, coffee. According to the law of demand, when price of coffee goes up, its demand goes down. And when demand of coffee goes down, the demand of substitute, which is tea, will go up. Let's draw a demand curve to see if price of tea increase or decrease. So demand increases, so shift rightwards. Okay, so when price increase, the quantity demanded also increase. So we know that the increase in the price of substitute will cause the price of tea to increase. By the way, this is the quantity demanded of tea, so you are not confused. So coffee price, when the coffee price increase, the price of tea will also increase. So we know that the answer is C. Moving on. A firm changes the price of its product and finds that its revenue increases. Which combination of price change and price elasticity of demand would have caused this? Before that, we need to know that this is the PED. PED smaller than 1 is inelastic. PED more than 1 is elastic. And PED equals to 1 is unitary price. So between 0 and 1, it's inelastic. And we know that unitary price, it will not cause any increase or decrease in revenue, because when the price increases, the quantity demanded also will increase in the same percentage, so it is not affected. And between 0 and 1, it is inelastic. Greater than 1, elastic. Okay, so we know that in order to increase revenue, in price elastic, we need to reduce in order to increase revenue. And inelastic, we need to increase the price in order to increase revenue. Why is that so? So let me explain first. For when a product is priced inelastic, consumers, they are not so sensitive to the changes in price. So no matter how you change the price, most of the customer will still buy the product. In that case, it's better for firm to increase the price since the customer will still buy, so they can earn a higher revenue. This is the case for price inelastic product. However, when the product is price elastic, which is this one, the first one, consumers are very sensitive to the price changes. So firm, they need to reduce the price to encourage consumer to buy, and therefore increasing the revenue. So when you know this thing, you can classify, you can see which one is the correct answer. So for elastic, you need to reduce the price. So this is wrong. And for inelastic, you need to increase the price. So this is correct. This is wrong. So C is the answer. Moving on. 8. What could not occur in market economic system? So we need to find what cannot happen. First, a monopoly supplying specialist goods to the market. Yes, it is possible. Although it's a market economy system, it can be a private firm that is a monopoly. B, excessive pollution created by power station. Yeah, usually in the market economy system, there are like external costs, because private firms, they maximize profit, so they don't maximize social benefits. They will usually cause external costs. So yes. Government setting minimum wages to relieve poverty. No, so this is the answer. Because in a market economy system, there are no government intervention. D. Private ownership of firms making defense equipment. Yes. Question 9. What is a correct definition of demerit goods? So, demerit goods are the goods that have negative spillover effects to the economy when consumed. So, we need to see which one is more relevant. A good which generates external benefits. No. A good with higher private costs than social costs. No, it's not correct. A good which is more harmful to consumers than they realize. Yes, more harmful, which is similar to the negative spillover effect. D. A good which provides no cost to third parties. No. Answer is C. Question 10. Within the same firm, one employee is paid a higher wage than another employee. Which reason for the difference in their wage could be considered discrimination? So something that is unfair treatment among the employee. So first, they are of different ages. Yeah, this can be a discrimination. B. They have different levels of education. No. They have different levels of productivity and work experience. So we can see that BCD, there are quite valid and fair reason to pay an employee higher than another one. So A is more likely to be discrimination. Moving on. 11. The diagram shows the demand and supply curve of labor for a firm. The initial wage rate is given by W0 and the equilibrium quantity of labor employed is L0. A trade union that represents all of the workers negotiates a rise in wage rate to W1. What is the amount of unemployment that results from this wage rise? So after the wage increase, the supply for labor goes up because more workers now they are willing to work at a higher wage. But the demand of labor goes down. Why? Because firms hire less workers now because the wage rate increases. So right now this is the current situation and we need to draw a new supply and demand curve to know that what is the changes and to see the movement along the curve. This is the equilibrium, and so first let's draw the changes in supply. This is the supply curve. We can see it actually, the movement is extension when the price increase. And right now we draw a demand curve. Because they say the wage rate increases to W1, just draw it down, and it's L1. Actually, the demand curve, it is a contraction. After drawing the graph, you can see when the wage rate increases, the supply for labor goes up and the labor force actually increases to L2. But the demand for labor drops to L1. So the gap between L1 and L2 is the unemployed people, which is here. The answer is L1 and L2. And let me explain why is it so. Because when the wage rate increases, more people in the labor force, they want to work, which increases the supply to L2. However, right now, because the wage rate increases, they are not willing to hire so many workers. They try to cut costs and hire less workers. Let's move on. A farmer introduces machinery to help workers at harvest time. The farmer also reduces the number of workers by 50%. As a result, the total harvest increases by 25%. What has happened? When you see the farmer introduce machinery to help worker, this definitely increases the labor productivity. And it says total harvest, so the production has increased. So look for the answer. This one's incorrect, correct. So 12, D is the answer. 13. A firm has fixed cost of $20 and the following total variable costs. What happens to the average total cost over this output range? So we need to know the formula of average total cost, which is total fixed cost plus total variable cost divided by output. So let's work it out. First one, so you just use 20 plus 40 divided by 10, which is 6. So for the other, you can also calculate, which I already worked out, is this answer. So this answer, we can see the trend here to here. It's actually the average total cost is reducing. So it falls continuously. A is the answer. 14. The table shows the cost and output of a firm. What is the average fixed cost of the firm? So right now we are given total cost and total variable cost. We can find this using this formula. Total cost is equals to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. So to find total fixed cost, we just rearrange the formula. And we plug in the unit. So we just plug in the number. The total fixed cost is 2,000. But wait, don't get tricked first, because they're looking for average fixed cost. So there's an extra step. If you're not careful enough, you may pick this, but this is wrong. So you need to use this 2,000 to divide by its quantity, which is 10, to find the average fixed cost, which is 200. The final answer is A for 14. Moving on. A clothing manufacturer expands by taking over a clothing retailer. Which type of merger is this? It technically moves forward, so it is a forward vertical. So here's a tip for some of you if you are confused whether it is like forward vertical or backward vertical. I would usually say that forward is, you can compare to like the production stage is nearer to the customer. For example, from manufacturing to retailer. However, if it's like from manufacturer to the component supplier, this is backward vertical. So let's move on. 16. What is likely to happen if a previously competitive market becomes a monopoly? So first, barriers to entry. It definitely will increase, and economies of scale increase, and size of firm will also increase. Why is that so? First one, barriers to entry increase. Barriers to entry means how easy new firms can enter the market. However, in monopoly, new small firms are harder to enter the market as monopoly already controls the market entirely. Second, economies of scale increase. This means that the cost save when firm increases their output produce. Because monopoly can produce at a large scale, so lower average cost of production. So now economies of scale increase. And definitely the size of firm increase because monopoly gets the entire market share. 17. Which macroeconomic aim, if achieved, is most likely to increase a government budget surplus? So first, what is budget surplus? You need to know that is the tax revenue is more than a government expenditure. What can increase the tax revenue of government? It's definitely employment. Why? Because when everyone in the labor force is employed, they can pay taxes, which increases the tax revenue earned by government. 18. The table shows the income tax rate paid by workers at different levels of income in selected years for a developed economy. What is most likely to have been the economic objective of the government in changing the tax rates between year 1 to year 2? We can see the trend where income band at 30,000 to 50,000 and above, which is the higher income group earners, they pay a higher tax rate in second year. So from 40 to 50, 40 to 60. So actually, why the government does it? Because this is to prevent the rich getting richer, while government can use the tax revenue collected to fund for public welfare services, such as healthcare. This is to benefit the lower income group earners. So the answer is reduce income inequality. Moving on, question 19. A government attempts to raise economic growth with a policy of reduced interest rates. Which other government objective is most likely to be held in the short run? So when interest rate is reduced, what will increase? There's a lot of things that will increase. First one is borrowing, because the borrowing cost, it reduces. Consumption will increase. Investment will also increase. So when investment increases, the company expand, they need more workers. What will happen? Employment increase. So definitely in the short run, when investment increase, this will increase employment. So answer A is correct, lower unemployment. Question 20. What is the definition of supply side policy? So supply side policy, the definition you need to remember already, is the long-term measures to aim to shift the PPC outwards. What can shift PPC outwards? Is by increasing the productivity of the economy. 21. Subsistence farming is the practice of growing crops and raising livestock sufficient only for one's own use, without any surplus for trade. Why is it difficult for a government to measure economic growth in an economy based on subsistence farming? A. Farmers' families consume most of their own produce. Yes, it's correct. Farmers have low rates of saving. We don't know that. The size of harvest is dependent on weather, not relevant. Surplus produce is sold to the government. No, it's already stated that it's sufficient for only one's own use without any surplus. Why is it? Answer is A. It's because subsistence farming is often be categorized in the informal economy. And what is informal economy? It means that all their economic activities are not being taxed or documented. And without documentation, it's harder for government to calculate how much output they produce exactly. This is why it's harder for them to measure economic growth based on the subsistence farming. Moving on. What is necessary for a worker to be classified as unemployed? The definition for unemployment is people who are able and willing to work and are actively seeking job but are unable to find jobs. So based on this definition, you see which one suits. Worker does not have a paid job. Yes. Worker is prepared to work. Yes, they are able to work. The worker will accept the current wage rate. Yes, they are willing to work. So these three are the answer. Okay, 23. What is most likely to increase when the rate of inflation gradually changes from 2% to 8% in 1 year? When the inflation rate increases, what will happen? The real value of the money will go down. And purchasing power will also go down. So C. A. The cost of updating existing price lists. Yes, of course, inflation, everything becomes so expensive. So A is correct. B. The level of business confidence. No. When inflation, the level of business confidence will go down. Real income of fixed income earners. No. It will go down. Real value of consumer debt. It will also go down. So these three are wrong. A is the answer. Question 24. The introduction of a minimum hourly wage in industry aims to reduce poverty among low-paid workers. What is an advantage to the workers of an effective national minimum wage? So, keyword is advantage to workers. A. All workers get paid according to their level of productivity. No, because we are talking about minimum wage. Firms may look to increase capital equipment rather than labor. No, this is a disadvantage to workers. Levels of employment become more dependent on wage differences. No. Redistribution of a firm's income rewards labor rather than workers. It is true. When the company earns profits, the owner, right now, when the minimum wage increases, the owner needs to pay higher wages to workers instead of keeping most of the profits. So this benefits labor more than owners. 25. The chart shows the population pyramid for a country. What is most likely to cause the population pyramid to be shaped in this way? So it's definitely high birth rate because we can see the box is the widest, and also high death rate because see the box here is the thinnest, so it means that the death rate is really high also. The answer is D. 26. The table shows information on 4 countries. Which country is likely to be the most developed? Most developed country need to be the highest life expectancy. So we can basically eliminate this and this. So right now, we see GDP, right? We cannot see the highest one that we've said, or the one is the most developed. Beside this one, you also need to calculate GDP per capita, which is using the GDP divided by the population. So B, 6,000 billion divided by 200 million, which is $30,000. And D, the answer is using this 1,600 billion divided by 1,000 million, it's 1,600. So yeah, definitely it's B. It's the most developed one. 27. What is an advantage to a firm of specialization at a national level? Take note of national level. Okay. A. Dependency on supplies from other countries. No, not an advantage. Greater competition from overseas. No, not an advantage. C. Greater depletion of the country's national resources. No. Lower average cost due to economies of scale. Yes, it is correct. So why do I say like take note of national level? Because sometimes they'll talk about an international level. But in this case, 3 other options are all disadvantage. But if B changes to greater competition, or maybe like become more competitive over other overseas firm, then this may be wrong because it's about international. But this one, economies of scale, can be national level. So it's D. 28. What is an intended outcome of protecting infant industry from free trade? So infant industries are the industry where new firms, they are just at the early stage of their development. So A, to decrease the competitiveness of domestic firm. Wrong. To decrease the demand for exported goods. No. To increase employment in domestic firm. Yes, it's correct. To increase supply of imported goods. No. This one, it should be increase. So answer is C. Question 29. In a diagram, curves D1 and S1 relate to the demand and supply of the US dollar against the Chinese yuan. What is most likely to cause the demand curve for US dollar to shift from D1 to D2? This shifting is leftwards, so we can know that demand curve or the demand reduces. This is the first one we need to know. And what causes demand for USD to reduce? So without looking at the answer, I will recall what will cause first. So first one I can think of is that it's the fall in demand for US export, because foreigners, they need to buy USD in order to buy US products. But if the demand for US goods falls, demand for USD also falls. So this is the first one. Second one I can think of is the fall in US interest rates. And this will cause a short-term capital outflow. Why is that so? Because lower interest rate makes the investing in US assets less attractive to foreign investor because they get a less return. So fewer people, they want to hold USD dollar, leading to a decrease in the demand for the currency. In this case, investors, they may prefer to move their money to countries with higher interest rates where they get better returns. So this reduces the demand for US dollars. So we can see answer, fall in Chinese interest rates, no. Fall in US interest rate, yes. Faster growth rate in the US economy, not relevant. A reduction in the US government budget deficit, no. This is answer. 30. Brazil had a balance of payments current account deficit of US dollar $23.5 billion. Which policy is most likely to reduce the current account deficit in Brazil? Okay, still remember this GDP formula? C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So right now we look at this X minus M. To reduce the current account deficit, we need to either increase the export revenue or to reduce the import expenditure. Let's look at answer. A. Depreciate Brazil's currency. Yes, this is correct. Why? Because when the Brazil currency is weakened, this will make Brazil export product cheaper for other countries to buy, therefore increasing export revenue. B. Reduce rates of income tax in Brazil, not relevant. Reduce subsidy to Brazil's exporting firms, no. It should increase so that it can increase the competitiveness of Brazil domestic firm so that they can increase the export. Reduce tariffs on Brazil's import, no. It should be increased. So answer is, we can confirm, is A. So here's the end of our episode. Hope you find this video helpful. Remember to like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you in the next video.